Have you ever wondered why, despite your best efforts, the struggles you face feel like they've been crafted just for you? Have you ever felt the weight of pain and disappointment, only to realize that it was pushing you towards something greater? Some of you may be asking, why did I have to endure such toxicity? Others may be questioning the harsh realities of your upbringing, wondering why God allowed the chaos in your home. Today, I want to speak to you not as someone who simply empathizes with your pain, but as someone who understands that your adversity was never meant to break you, it was meant to build you. You are not a victim of circumstance. You are a chosen one, an individual handpicked by God to rise above the storms that others could never survive. Let me tell you this, God did not forget you. He was preparing you. The toxicity, the pain, the brokenness, these were the tools He used to cultivate the power inside of you. Today I want you to understand something powerful. The very thing that felt like destruction was the preparation for your destiny. You had to rise higher. The challenges and toxicity you face were never meant to break you. They were designed to mold you into someone far stronger and wiser than you ever thought possible. Life has a way of throwing obstacles in our path, some small, some seemingly insurmountable, but it's in how we respond to those challenges that defines us. Too often we view adversity as a punishment or a burden, something we wish to escape. However, there's a deeper truth we must understand. Adversity is not an accident. The difficulties and toxic environments we experience are not random misfortunes. They are part of a divine blueprint designed for our growth and transformation. When you go through hardship, whether in the form of toxic relationships, family dysfunction, or personal struggles, it can feel like the weight of the world is bearing down on you. The pain feels suffocating, and at times it may even seem as if the walls are closing in. It's easy to become discouraged, to think that life has dealt you a bad hand, and to wonder why others seem to have it easier. But the truth is, God does not allow pain for no reason. Every trial you face, no matter how painful or toxic it may seem, serves a higher purpose. God's purpose. You were not chosen to be overwhelmed by your circumstances. You were chosen because you have the strength to rise above them. Imagine the way a sculptor works with a block of marble. The sculpture does not emerge by accident. The artist chisels away at the stone, carefully removing excess material, one strike at a time, until the masterpiece is revealed. Similarly, life's hardships are the chisel that shapes us, removing the parts of us that do not serve our higher purpose. The process is painful, but the result is beautiful. The struggles you've encountered were never meant to destroy you. They were meant to purify and refine you, to bring out the beauty and strength that was hidden beneath the surface. Without the chisel of adversity, you would remain a rough, unfinished block. But through each struggle, you were being refined into something more powerful, more resilient, and more capable of fulfilling your purpose. Consider the people in your life who may have acted as agents of toxicity, whether it was your mother, a friend, or someone else who hurt you. It's easy to become angry and resentful toward them, to blame them for the pain and suffering they caused. But if you take a step back and look at the bigger picture, you'll see something profound. God, in His infinite wisdom, allowed these experiences to shape you, to teach you invaluable lessons. The very people who may have hurt you were unknowingly playing a part in God's greater plan for your life. They were not there to break you. They were there to challenge you. to force you to rise higher, to build your character. You may have spent years questioning why you had to endure such toxicity. Perhaps you've carried bitterness or resentment in your heart, wondering why your family dynamic wasn't the loving, supportive environment you longed for. You may have even thought that you were somehow unworthy of peace or joy, believing that God had forgotten about you. But the reality is, God didn't forget you. He saw every moment of pain, every tear that you shed, every time you felt abandoned. He was there, using those very moments to prepare you for a greater calling. When you reflect on the pain you've endured, it's important to recognize the growth that came from it. Every hardship you faced has strengthened you in ways you may not yet fully comprehend. The toxic people in your life did not have the power to define your destiny unless you allowed them to. They may have attempted to break you, but God was working through it all to mold you into a person who could stand tall in the face of adversity. Those who tried to bring you down actually played a part in lifting you up. They unknowingly helped you tap into an inner strength you didn't know you possessed. And in doing so, they pushed you closer to the person God intended you to become. This is not to say that the pain you experienced was easy or justifiable. It's not to excuse the hurt or the toxicity that you may have been subjected to. Rather, it's an acknowledgement that God, in His infinite wisdom, is capable of using even the most difficult circumstances to refine us. He works all things together for good, even when it feels like everything is falling apart. The toxicity that seemed to engulf your life was not an end in itself. It was a season of preparation, a time when God was working behind the scenes, cultivating your resilience, fortifying your spirit, and building your capacity to lead and to rise higher. It's easy to look back and focus on the pain, to replay the negative experiences over and over in your mind, allowing them to define you. But that's not the perspective you need to adopt. Instead of seeing yourself as a victim of your circumstances, begin to see yourself as someone who was chosen to overcome them. You were not chosen to be destroyed by your environment. You were chosen to rise above it. And with every challenge you faced, you became stronger, more capable, and more prepared for the destiny that God has in store for you. If you allow your struggles to define you, they will keep you trapped in a cycle of bitterness and despair. But if you shift your perspective, you will begin to see those same struggles as the building blocks of your future success. The toxic environment that you once despised is now the very soil from which your greatness will grow. The pain you felt is the seed from which your strength will blossom. God has taken what was meant for your harm and used it for your good, shaping you into someone who can rise higher and reach the heights of the purpose He has for you. Your life is not defined by the toxicity you've encountered. It is defined by your response to that toxicity. Will you allow the pain to break you, or will you allow it to shape you into the person God intended you to be? The choice is yours. You are not a product of your circumstances. You are a product of your choices and the strength that lies within you. You have the power to rise higher, to rise above every challenge, and to fulfill the purpose for which you were created. And as you rise, remember this: every moment of pain, every moment of struggle was never in vain. It was all part of God's divine plan to refine you, to make you stronger, and to prepare you for the greatness that lies ahead. So don't look back in anger or regret. Don't dwell on the toxicity that once surrounded you. Look forward with confidence, knowing that you are a chosen one, destined to rise higher than you ever thought possible. God allowed the difficult circumstances in your life not to punish you, but to prepare you for greater things. It is easy to feel lost when facing adversity, to question why certain things happen, and to believe that the struggles are signs of abandonment or neglect. But in truth, there is a purpose behind every hardship, and there is a divine plan at work that we may not always see in the moment. The reality is, God knew you were strong enough to endure the storms that life threw your way. He knew you had the resilience to rise, to become someone capable of greatness, even when it felt like the world was against you. He allowed those moments of pain, not because He wanted you to suffer, but because He knew that through the trials, you would become the person He had destined you to be. Think about the times when you were tested beyond measure, the moments when life seemed like an endless cycle of disappointment, hurt, and frustration. You may have found yourself questioning God, asking why things were happening the way they were. Maybe you couldn't see the reason behind it. Maybe you even began to doubt your own strength, wondering if you could handle the weight of the burden. But through it all, there was a higher purpose at work. God wasn't simply letting you go through hardships for no reason. He was using those experiences to build something greater within you. The challenges you faced were the crucible in which your character was tested and forged. It was in the fire of difficulty that your true strength was revealed. God's preparation comes in many forms. Sometimes it's through the people who hurt us, the relationships that fall apart, or the environments that seem toxic and oppressive. It is through these experiences that God builds our inner strength, molds our character, and prepares us for the calling He has placed on our lives. It is through the hardships that we learn resilience, faith, patience, and trust. Without these trials, we would never know the depth of our own strength or the vastness of God's grace. He allows us to go through these things not to break us, but to prepare us for the purpose He has for us. The people and situations that hurt you may have felt like obstacles, but they were really stepping stones. You may not have realized it at the time, but each difficulty you faced was pushing you toward the person you are meant to become. The very struggles that seemed so discouraging were shaping you into someone capable of handling even greater challenges in the future. Each challenge, each toxic environment, each painful experience was a building block, strengthening you for the journey ahead. It is only through adversity that you can truly recognize the depth of your own potential. Without the tough moments, without the battles, you wouldn't have discovered just how strong you are, just how resilient your spirit is. It's in those moments of weakness that we often find our greatest strength. This is why when you look back on your struggles, you should no longer see them as obstacles to your success, but as the very foundation on which your greatness was built. God did not allow you to endure hardship just to bring you down. He allowed it to refine you, to bring out the gold that was hidden inside of you. He allowed those moments to sharpen your character, to help you grow in wisdom and grace, and to give you the strength to stand tall in the face of future challenges. You were not meant to be broken by your circumstances. You were meant to rise above them, to become the person you were always destined to be. You see, God didn't just allow your pain and struggle. He used it as a tool to bring you closer to your true purpose. Sometimes it takes a deep wound to awaken a new level of understanding, to open our eyes to the things that truly matter, to develop the compassion and empathy that come only from experience. It's easy to become disillusioned with life when things aren't going our way, but it is in these moments that we must remember that God is still working behind the scenes. Even in the darkest moments, He is preparing us for something greater. He is working to refine us, to purify us, and to prepare us for the future that He has for us. Think about how you've grown through the experiences that seemed unbearable, the pain you felt, the tears you shed, the struggles you faced. These were not in vain. They were all part of your divine preparation. God doesn't waste any experience. Every challenge, every difficulty, every setback is used for His glory and for your personal growth. When you look at your life now, you may not see the full picture, but rest assured that the journey you've been on has been one of preparation for the greatness that is yet to come. You are not the same person you were when you began this journey. You have been transformed, refined, and made stronger, all because of the challenges you've faced. It's important to understand that this preparation was never meant to break you. God doesn't allow us to go through pain simply for the sake of pain. He allows it because He knows that in the process we will grow stronger, we will rise, and we will be equipped for the purpose He has called us to fulfill. The difficulties you've endured have equipped you with the tools you need to move forward, to fulfill your purpose, and to lead others through their own struggle. The person you've become because of your challenges is exactly who you need to be in order to step into the future that awaits you. God knows what lies ahead for you. He knows the challenges you will face, the victories you will achieve, and the impact you will make. And because of that, He has been preparing you all along. The pain, the struggles, and the challenges you've faced have all been part of a divine process, a preparation for your future. So, when you find yourself in the midst of a difficult season, remember that it is not without purpose. God is using this moment to shape you, to mold you, and to prepare you for the greatness that lies ahead. Through it all, remember this: God does not give you more than you can handle. He knows your strength, and He knows that you are capable of rising higher. Every challenge you face is a stepping stone. Every difficulty is an opportunity for growth. God has allowed the storms in your life not to drown you, but to teach you how to sail through them. And through it all, you will rise. You will rise higher than you ever thought possible, because God is preparing you for something greater than you can imagine. Toxicity is often seen as something negative, something to avoid at all costs. It's easy to think of toxic relationships, environments, or situations as a form of punishment, as if they are things that life throws at us simply to bring us down. However, if we take a deeper look, we realize that toxicity, much like fire, has the potential to refine us. It has the ability to burn away the impurities in our lives, revealing a stronger, more resilient version of ourselves. The truth is, the toxic environments you've encountered weren't meant to destroy you. They were part of your divine preparation. They were the refiner's fire that helped to shape you into who you are today. Just as gold must go through intense heat to become pure and valuable, your spirit had to endure the heat of toxicity in order to become stronger, wiser, and more capable of handling life's challenges. Consider the process of refining gold. When gold is first mined, it's mixed with other metals and impurities, making it difficult to see its true value. But when it's placed in the refiner's fire, it's subjected to intense heat. The heat causes the impurities to rise to the surface, where they can be removed, leaving behind pure gold. Similarly, the toxic people, circumstances, and environments you've encountered may have seemed overwhelming and painful at the time, but they were actually helping to bring the impurities in your life to the surface. They exposed the areas where you needed to grow, where you needed to be strengthened, and where you needed to let go of things that no longer served you. The pain you experienced was the heat that allowed the impurities in your life to rise. And when you endured it, you were left with a stronger, purer version of yourself. Think back to the toxic people in your life, whether they were family members, friends, or colleagues. These individuals may have hurt you, criticized you, or made you feel unworthy. But it is in those very relationships that you were being refined. Those who mistreated you were, in a sense, the fire that burned away the parts of your character that needed to be purified. Through their negativity, you learned how to stand firm in your own identity, how to set boundaries, and how to rise above the insults and the hurtful words. Without those toxic people, you might never have learned the lessons you needed to learn. Without their criticism, you might never have developed the inner strength to overcome the challenges that life would throw at you. It was through those difficult relationships that you became stronger, more confident, and more capable of handling the future storms that would come your way. Toxicity also taught you the importance of self-worth and self-respect. When you are constantly surrounded by negativity, it forces you to take a step back and reevaluate your own value. You begin to recognize that you don't have to accept poor treatment from others. You don't have to tolerate disrespect or mistreatment. You start to see your own worth, and in doing so, you develop the strength to walk away from toxic situations and people who do not value you. This is a critical lesson for anyone who is called to greatness. You cannot fulfill your purpose if you are constantly weighed down by toxic people or environments. The process of being refined by toxicity teaches you to protect your energy, to safeguard your peace, and to prioritize your well-being. It teaches you to rise above the negativity and focus on what truly matters, the calling that God has placed on your life. As you look back on the toxic environments you've been in, remember that they weren't there to destroy you. They were there to refine you. They were there to help you grow, to strengthen your resolve, and to push you toward your greater purpose. Toxicity was never the end of your story. It was just the fire that prepared you for the greatness that lies ahead. You are now more capable of handling challenges, more resilient in the face of adversity, and more aware of your own worth. Toxicity may have been the fire, but you are the gold that has emerged from it, shining brighter and more valuable than ever before. God didn't just allow the difficulties you face to happen randomly. He allowed them to help you rise higher. The storms you've weathered weren't meant to break you, they were meant to push you to a higher level. There's a profound truth in this. Growth doesn't happen in comfort. It doesn't happen when everything is easy and smooth. Growth happens when you are forced to step out of your comfort zone, when you are stretched beyond your limits, and when you are challenged to rise above your circumstances. The adversity you faced has been the catalyst for your growth. It has pushed you to become someone greater, someone who can handle the pressures of life and rise above them. Think about the moments when you were at your lowest, when life seemed unbearable, when the weight of the world was on your shoulders, and when you felt like giving up. In those moments, you may have felt like you were being crushed under the weight of your circumstances. But looking back, can you see how those moments were shaping you? Can you see how they were preparing you for what was to come? God knew that you were strong enough to endure those moments, and He knew that through them you would rise higher. It was through the hardships that you developed the strength, wisdom, and resilience to fulfill your purpose. Rising higher doesn't mean that you won't face challenges. It doesn't mean that life will suddenly become easy. It means that you are now equipped to handle whatever comes your way. You have been shaped by your struggles and you have learned to rise above them. You've developed the strength to face adversity head on. And you've learned to see challenges as opportunities for growth, not obstacles to your success. Every time you rose above a challenge, you grew stronger. Every time you overcame a setback, you built your confidence. Every time you faced the storm and came out on the other side, you proved to yourself that you were capable of greatness. God didn't allow the difficulties in your life to break you. He allowed them to build you. He allowed them to prepare you for the higher calling that awaits you. You are not the same person you were before you faced these challenges. You are stronger, wiser, and more capable of handling the future. You've been refined by the fire, and now you are ready to rise higher than ever before. The obstacles you once saw as barriers are now the stepping stones to your success. You are no longer defined by the toxicity or the pain. You are defined by how you rose above it, by how you learned to grow through the challenges, and by how you are now ready to fulfill your divine purpose. There is no doubt that you are capable of greatness. The challenges you've faced have only made you stronger, and now it is time to embrace the greatness that is waiting for you. The toxic environments, the difficult people, and the painful experiences were never meant to stop you. They were meant to prepare you. Now it's time to rise higher, to step into your purpose, and to live the life you were always meant to live. The world is waiting for you to shine, and now you are ready to do just that. You are a chosen one, and that designation carries great responsibility and power. It is easy to overlook the strength that God has placed within you, especially when you are facing the challenges of life. But it is precisely in the moments of struggle, hardship, and even toxicity that the strength He has given you is revealed. The truth is, God allowed your mother to be toxic, or He allowed the people and circumstances in your life to create adversity because He knew you were strong enough to rise above it. These trials were never meant to break you. They were meant to teach you, refine you, and prepare you for the greatness that lies ahead. You were chosen to go through these challenges because God knew you would not only survive but thrive through them. It's in those moments of hardship that you discover who you truly are and the strength that resides deep within you. Too often we associate adversity with failure or punishment. When things go wrong, when people act in toxic ways, it's easy to feel like we've been cursed or forgotten by God. However, the truth is, these very experiences are not a curse. They are a blessing in disguise. Through adversity, you are being prepared for something greater. Every toxic relationship, every hurtful moment, every time you were made to feel small or unimportant was actually God's way of shaping you, molding you, and preparing you for the leadership role you were destined to fulfill. It was during these difficult times that you learned valuable lessons in patience, resilience, self-worth, and grace. Without the challenges you faced, you would not have been equipped with the tools necessary to walk into your divine calling. Think about the way a seed grows. A seed doesn't grow in comfortable soil with perfect conditions. It must break through tough, hard soil. It must endure the elements, rain, wind, and sometimes even drought. Yet it is precisely through these challenges that the seed begins to sprout, pushing its way through the soil to emerge as a strong, flourishing plant. The same is true for you. The toxic environments, the negative people, and the painful experiences you've gone through were the tough soil, the storms, and the droughts that caused you to dig deeper and find the strength to rise. If you had never faced adversity, you would not have the strength to stand firm in the face of future challenges. Those difficult experiences were the very things that helped you grow into who you are today. It is easy to focus on the negative aspects of toxicity. It's natural to feel hurt, angry, or betrayed when people you love or trust act in harmful ways. But if you shift your perspective and look at the bigger picture, you will begin to see that toxicity served a greater purpose. God allowed these negative forces in your life not to destroy you, but to reveal the power within you. The toxic situations you endured exposed areas in your life where you needed to grow, develop, and heal. They forced you to confront the weaknesses in your character and allowed you to strengthen them. Through every trial, you were becoming more equipped to handle the responsibilities and challenges that would come in your future. The very thing you viewed as an obstacle was actually God's tool for your transformation. When you emerged from the toxic environments, you were not the same person who entered. You were refined, stronger, and more prepared to lead others through similar struggles. You were chosen to rise above these toxic situations, and through it all, you learned that your identity is not defined by your circumstances. You are not defined by the toxic people or the negativity that has surrounded you. You are defined by the God-given strength, wisdom, and purpose that He has placed within you. These toxic situations were meant to shake you, to test your resolve, and to remind you that you are not powerless. You have the ability to rise higher than you ever imagined, not because of your own strength, but because of the strength that God has placed inside of you. The adversity you've faced has prepared you to fulfill your purpose with grace, strength, and wisdom. You are not a victim of your circumstances. You are a conqueror, and your strength is being made manifest through every trial you overcome. The second key point is that God didn't just allow toxicity in your life to refine you. He also allowed it to reveal your true identity. Toxicity has a way of forcing us to confront the things that lie beneath the surface. It exposes the areas of our lives where we have unresolved pain, insecurity, or fear. When we are surrounded by toxic people or environments, we are often pushed to the edge, and it is in those moments that we begin to see what is truly inside us. At first, the toxicity may have made you feel small, unworthy, or insecure. But it is through those feelings that God worked to reveal your true strength. He allowed the toxicity to come into your life so that you could see how strong you really are and how capable you are of standing firm in the face of adversity. When you are surrounded by negativity, it becomes clear what you are truly made of. Are you going to let the negativity break you, or are you going to rise above it? Are you going to shrink back in fear, or are you going to stand tall and face the challenges head on? These are the questions that the toxic environments and people in your life forced you to answer. You were chosen to face these challenges not because you were weak, but because God knew you had the strength to rise higher. Every time you faced the negativity with courage, every time you refused to let it define you, you were revealing your true identity. You were showing the world and yourself who you truly are. The third key point is that your ability to rise above toxicity is not just a reflection of your strength, but also of your purpose. You were chosen for greatness, and every toxic moment you have faced has been part of God's divine plan to prepare you for the greater purpose He has for you. Every difficult person, every painful situation, and every moment of despair has been an opportunity for you to learn, to grow, and to prepare yourself for the calling that God has placed on your life. The obstacles you faced were not roadblocks to your success, but stepping stones toward your destiny. They were the training ground for the leadership role you are destined to fill. The greatest leaders in history were not the ones who lived lives free of challenges or difficulties. They were the ones who faced adversity head-on and emerged stronger because of it. They were the ones who understood that greatness is not given, it is forged through hardship, resilience, and determination. You were chosen to be a leader, and your journey through toxicity has prepared you to lead with compassion, strength, and wisdom. You may not have understood it at the time, but every moment of pain, every time you felt like you were being pushed to your limits, was preparing you to take on the responsibility that comes with your purpose. The trials you faced were not just obstacles to overcome. They were the very thing that helped shape you into the leader you were always meant to be. The final key point is that rising above toxicity is not just about surviving, it's about thriving. God did not call you to merely exist in this world. He called you to thrive, to flourish, and to live a life that reflects His glory. Toxicity may have been the fire that tested your character, but it was not the end of your journey. It was simply the beginning. Through every challenge you faced, God has been refining you, preparing you for the purpose He has for your life. You are not just a survivor of toxic environments, you are a conqueror. You are someone who has learned how to rise above the negativity, how to stand firm in the face of adversity, and how to fulfill your purpose with grace and strength. You were chosen to thrive, not just survive. And now it is time for you to step into that truth and live a life that reflects the greatness within you. Life is full of challenges, and often those challenges come from the very people who are supposed to love and nurture us the most, our parents. When a mother or any close family member is toxic, it can feel like a betrayal, a deep wound that seems impossible to heal. But what if I told you that God allowed this toxicity to exist for a reason? What if I told you that this pain, this struggle, was not meant to break you, but to build you into someone stronger, more resilient, and more capable of fulfilling the purpose He has for your life? The truth is, God knew exactly what you could handle, and He allowed this adversity to prepare you for a higher calling. The concept of being chosen is not one that we often fully grasp, especially when we are in the midst of pain and suffering. We often think that being chosen means a life without hardship, a life of ease and comfort. However, being chosen means that you are set apart, that God has a unique purpose for your life, and in order to fulfill that purpose, you must be refined, shaped, and tested. Toxicity is a part of that process. The pain, the hurt, the disappointment. These are the tools that God uses to refine your character and strengthen your spirit. Just as gold must go through intense heat to be purified, so too must you endure the fire of adversity to become the person you are destined to be. Think about the way a person's character is tested. It's easy to be kind, patient, and loving when life is going well, when everything is smooth and easy, but it is only through adversity that the true depth of our character is revealed. When you face toxicity, it forces you to confront the parts of yourself that need to be healed, strengthened, or changed. It forces you to examine your boundaries, your emotional responses, and your capacity for forgiveness. It teaches you the value of self-worth, the importance of standing up for yourself, and the power of forgiveness. Through these lessons, you are being prepared for a life of greater responsibility, greater impact, and greater influence. God didn't allow the toxicity in your life to destroy you. He allowed it to build you, to teach you, and to make you more like the person He created you to be. One of the most powerful lessons that toxicity teaches is the importance of rising above circumstances. It's easy to let the negativity and hurt of others define you. It's easy to play the victim and succumb to feelings of anger, frustration, and bitterness. But God calls us to rise above those feelings, to rise above the circumstances, and to not let them dictate who we are. Rising above toxicity doesn't mean ignoring the pain or pretending that everything is fine. It means choosing to take control of your own narrative, choosing to rise above the hurt, and choosing to become stronger because of it. When you rise above toxicity, you show the world that your identity is not tied to the people who hurt you or the circumstances that tried to hold you back. You show the world that you are someone who can weather the storms and come out stronger on the other side. In the midst of toxicity, it can feel like everything is falling apart. It can feel like you are being torn down, like you are being broken by the very people who are supposed to love you. But in reality, these moments of hardship are the very moments that God is using to build you. Just as a tree's roots are strengthened through the storms it endures, so too is your character strengthened through the trials you face. Each time you overcome a challenge, you become more rooted in your purpose, more confident in who you are, and more capable of standing firm in the face of future adversity. God allowed these toxic experiences to come into your life, not to break you, but to fortify you, to prepare you for the greatness that is ahead. The fourth key point is about understanding the true nature of strength. Often, we think of strength as the ability to withstand hardship without showing any signs of weakness. But true strength is found in vulnerability, in the willingness to acknowledge the pain and still rise above it. Strength is not about being unshakable in the face of adversity. Strength is about being shaken, being broken, and still choosing to stand up again, to keep moving forward and to remain faithful to your purpose. It is in the moments of weakness, the moments when you feel like giving up, that you find the true measure of your strength. God's strength is made perfect in your weakness. It is in your vulnerability that you truly tap into the power He has placed within you. When you acknowledge your pain, when you allow yourself to feel the hurt and then choose to rise above it, you tap into a strength that is not your own. You tap into the strength that comes from knowing that you are chosen, that you are not alone, and that God is with you every step of the way. The fifth and final key point is that the toxic people and situations in your life were not meant to define your future. Too often we let the pain of the past shape our expectations for the future. We let the negative experiences we've had with people cloud our vision of what lies ahead. But God wants you to know that your future is not determined by the people who hurt you or the circumstances that seem to hold you back. You are not defined by your past. You are defined by the purpose that God has placed on your life. The toxicity you endured was a chapter in your story, but it is not the whole story. It is a part of your journey, but it is not the end of it. God has a greater purpose for you, a purpose that is beyond what you can see right now. The toxic situations and people in your life were part of the refining process, part of the shaping that God used to prepare you for the future He has in store for you. You may not see it now, but everything you've gone through has been a preparation for the greatness that is yet to come. You were chosen for this, for all of it, the pain, the trials, the toxicity, and the rising above it all. God knew that you had the strength to endure, and He knew that you would rise higher because of it. The toxic people, the toxic environments, and the painful experiences were not meant to defeat you. They were meant to build you. They were meant to show you the power that lies within you, the strength that God has placed in your spirit. And now, as you stand at the threshold of the future, you are ready to step into your calling with the confidence and strength that only comes from having been through the fire and emerged victorious. You are ready to rise, to lead, and to fulfill the purpose that God has set for you, knowing that you are stronger, wiser, and more capable than ever before. Life has a way of challenging us, and often The greatest challenges come from those who are supposed to nurture and support us the most. Our parents, particularly our mothers. A toxic mother or parental figure can leave a deep wound, one that lingers for a long time and affects every part of your life. It's easy to fall into despair and wonder why God would allow this, especially when you feel betrayed and hurt. But what if I told you that God didn't make a mistake by allowing your mother to be toxic? What if I told you that this pain, this trial, was not sent to destroy you, but rather to refine you, to help you rise higher and reach the purpose He has set for you? The toxicity you endured was part of God's divine plan to shape you into the person He always intended you to be. God allowed the hardship to prepare you for a higher calling, to build the resilience and strength you would need to step into your destiny. There is a misconception that being chosen by God means being spared from suffering, but that's not the case. Being chosen means that you are selected for something greater, something that requires endurance, character, and strength. The trials and difficulties you face are not signs that God has abandoned you, but evidence that He is preparing you for the greatness that lies ahead. When you are chosen, it means God is refining you, testing you, and molding you into the person who can handle the weight of the responsibility that comes with your calling. This means that every toxic experience you faced, every difficult moment, was part of God's process to shape you into someone capable of fulfilling the incredible purpose He has for you. He knew you had the strength to endure, and He knew that each challenge would make you more resilient, more determined, and more aligned with the person He created you to be. The pain you experienced was not wasted. God doesn't allow us to endure hardship without a purpose. Each toxic interaction, each moment of emotional pain, and each time you felt belittled or dismissed was an opportunity for you to grow. It was an opportunity for you to examine yourself, to confront the parts of you that needed healing, and to rise above your circumstances. The true power of being chosen lies in the ability to overcome adversity. It's easy to be strong when everything is going well, when life is smooth and predictable. But the true test of strength comes when you're in the middle of a storm, when you feel like you're drowning and yet you still rise. The toxicity you experienced was that storm. It was the challenge that forced you to dig deeper into your faith, into your resolve, and into the strength that God has placed within you. It wasn't sent to destroy you. It was sent to prepare you for the greatness that lies ahead. There's also something very powerful about the way adversity reveals the strength we never knew we had. When you are faced with toxic situations, it can feel like you're powerless. The actions of others can seem overwhelming, and it may feel like you're caught in an unending cycle of pain and disappointment. But what God is doing during these times is revealing your true strength. He is showing you that you are not defined by your circumstances, but by the strength He has placed within you. Through every trial, God is giving you the opportunity to discover just how strong you really are. Every time you rise above the negativity, every time you choose to heal and forgive rather than retaliate, you are tapping into a strength that is not your own. You are becoming the person who can stand firm in the face of adversity and keep moving forward, knowing that you are not alone. God is with you every step of the way, and He is strengthening you for the path ahead. Toxicity, whether from a parent, a family member, or close friend, has a way of showing us our weaknesses. It forces us to confront areas of our lives that need healing, areas where we've been hurt, areas where we've been wounded or abandoned. The challenge lies in recognizing these weaknesses not as something that defines us, but as something that needs to be healed. Toxicity can be a mirror reflecting back the pain we have yet to address. And while facing that pain can be difficult, it is through facing it that we find our true strength. Each time you confront a toxic situation, you have the choice to either let it break you or to let it make you. The choice to heal, to forgive, and to rise above is a choice to take control of your own story. You are not defined by the wounds others have inflicted upon you. You are defined by the way you choose to heal from them, the way you rise above them, and the way you use them to shape your future. As you move through life, it's important to recognize that the toxic situations you have encountered do not dictate your future. It's easy to fall into the trap of believing that the negativity and pain of the past will always follow you, that your circumstances will never change. But God has a greater plan for you. The toxic people and situations that once defined your life are not the end of your story. They are simply chapters in your journey. You may have been affected by those around you, but you are not bound by their actions. You have the power to break free from the past and step into the future that God has promised you. Your future is not dictated by the people who hurt you or the circumstances that held you back. It is determined by the choices you make today, by the way you rise above the toxicity and step into the purpose that God has laid out for you. One of the most powerful things about being chosen is that God equips you with everything you need to fulfill your purpose. He doesn't call the qualified, He qualifies the called. This means that no matter how broken, hurt, or unworthy you may feel, God has already equipped you with the strength, wisdom, and courage you need to rise above the toxicity in your life. He has already given you the tools to overcome the pain and to move forward into the future He has for you. When you face adversity, remember that you are not doing it alone. God is with you every step of the way, strengthening you and providing you with everything you need to fulfill your calling. Finally, there is a profound truth in the fact that God uses our pain to propel us into our purpose. The very things that hurt us, the very things that seem like they are holding us back, are often the very things that God uses to propel us forward. The lessons we learn in the midst of toxicity, lessons in resilience, patience, forgiveness, and self-worth, are the lessons that prepare us for the greatness that lies ahead. God doesn't waste pain. He uses it to refine us, to shape us, and to propel us into our destiny. Every toxic experience you've had has been a part of this process. Every painful moment has been an opportunity for you to grow, to become more like the person God has called you to be, and to step into your purpose with strength and confidence. The reality is that you were chosen for this journey. God knew that you could endure the challenges that would come your way, and He knew that you would rise higher because of them. The toxic situations you faced were not sent to destroy you. They were sent to build you, to prepare you, and to equip you for the greatness that lies ahead. As you move forward in life, remember that your identity is not tied to the toxic people or situations you've faced. Your identity is tied to the purpose God has placed within you, and He has chosen you to rise above it all. You are not a victim of your circumstances. You are a victor, and the strength you've gained through adversity will propel you to the future He has promised you. In the end, the toxic experiences you've faced were never meant to break you, but to build you into the person God created you to be. The pain, the hurt, and the challenges you've encountered were not random. They were a part of God's divine plan to refine you, strengthen you, and prepare you for a purpose far greater than you can imagine. You were chosen not because you were without flaws, but because God saw the strength within you to rise above every obstacle and use it to propel you into the destiny He has set for you. Remember, your past does not define your future. The toxic people and situations were simply tools that God used to shape your character, to teach you resilience, and to empower you to walk in your purpose with confidence. As you rise above the struggles and embrace your true identity, know that you are equipped, you are empowered, and you are destined for greatness. Embrace the journey, for you are not just surviving, you are thriving, and the best is yet to come.